This is Frontier Cooperative. I am a grain market advisor. I work with farmers to market their grain, do marketing strategy, marketing plans. Frontier Cooperative, we have 50 to 55 branches throughout eastern Nebraska. We cover 17 counties. This facility in particular, our Syracuse, Nebraska rail facility, has an upright capacity of just shy of 2 million bushels. This last harvest, we surpassed 8 million in handle through a condensed harvest window. This is mostly a corn facility. 4 miles north of town, we have our Odo facility. That is predominantly our bean facility for this area. Just within a 15-mile radius of this facility, we have about 10 other smaller facilities that feed this throughout the year with corn, and then most of the beans do go to local processor. Our Odo facility bean, it's a great complement to this facility with corn here, beans up there. They're just shy of 2 million bushels in that facility that can handle. We have really good capacities around here, high-speed elevator here. Our record was in 2019 of 354 loads in a day, probably equated to 320, 330,000 bushel was dumped in a single day here during a peak of harvest. So really high-speed facility. Out of this facility particularly, with corn, we do export to Mexico. We hit a lot of feed mills down in Southern California. There are some feedlots in the Utah, Idaho area. Most of our Frontier Cooperative's bean trains hit the Pacific Northwest export market. Again, these markets are always changing, especially in the last year, so it's nice to have some rail access. The line that we're on is privately owned and has both access to the BN and the UP. We're predominantly a Union Pacific shipper, but we do have access to both, which is one reason why this place was so attractive when it was built in 2016. This was built in 2016. We added a dry fertilizer plant in 2018 and a liquid fertilizer plant that will be coming online for this spring. Of the grain, energy, agronomy, and feed, all can somewhat be serviced out of this facility, as we do have some propane tanks and some feed storage as well. The farmers that we work with are all member owners of this cooperative, meaning they have stake in what we're doing, as a very important goal that they have is to get grain out of the field in the fall. The hard part about that is marketing. I work with farmers on risk management. To some, that's a simple cash sale of hauling a couple loads a day or a load a week, something like that. The co-op does offer advanced brokerage service through buying puts and calls and some non-traditional contracts to that matter, and everybody's different in their risk tolerances and things like that. So, and like right now, we do run some off-farm grain. We send trucks out to the farm to pick up off the farm. So producers that don't have semis, we can still go out and service them, bring their grain to a terminal facility like this. It's always hard to expect this year. I remind myself, I look at a drought monitor and we're in very similar situations than we were last year at this time. We've really had no snow or adverse weather other than cold for the entire winter. So I feel that most producers are a little toned back on the expectations of last year. Some of that's the exceptional yields last year. Some of that's probably has a lot to do with some drier conditions going into spring. So, you know, the things can sure change in a hurry. In terms of the outlook for the crop, there's no reason for me to not think that it should be trend line or better. We had a great fall putting fertilizer on. Dry. Frontier Co-op as a whole is situated very good with inputs. We bought early, and our producers look at their farms as a system and know that every year I'm going to need X amount of glyphosate and X amount of this chemical, and they work with their ag advisors. A lot of this stuff was bought not only cheaper than maybe today's input prices, but also the availability of it. We took possession of it. We got it on the books and got it on their accounts right away, and maybe they even took possession. So in terms of supply chain issues, definitely going to be that, but I feel really good considering all that where we're at. You know, if it rains, the inputs are available and out there for southeast Nebraska for this footprint because of the farmers planning ahead and stuff like that. There's no reason for me to think a couple good rains wouldn't put us right back at that record crop in both corn and beans. So I feel that farmers are ahead on marketing this year, as rightfully they should be, with prices double of what they were 2 years ago. But there were a lot more bushels last year too. So I would say we're ahead of the normal marketing pattern, but there's also the other side of the equation is cash flow and cash availability right now is at very good levels for the average farm. So the need to sell, the need to make that February payment on machinery or pay off that operating note from last year, I feel is less than it has been the last couple of years. So there's a push and pull. And with the world events right now, you know, the uncertainty in the marketplace, I feel has never been higher. So there are some people sitting on some bushels and new crop bushels. You know, I'm seeing more farmers do more sales, but smaller amounts.